Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Season's Greetings, and Happy Holidays. This is OstomateMark coming to you during this holiday season, and whatever your faith is, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful holiday time. Today we're going to talk a little bit about traveling with an ostomy. And let me tell you, I've had lots of opportunities to do that over the last 44 years. What I've got before me are just some of the supplies that I take when I travel, so that I'm not in a bind or in a burden or having to look for something while I'm out traveling. For instance, I always will take some extra old towels and rags that I use when I'm changing my appliance at home to use if I'm staying at somebody else's house or at a hotel, and then I will launder them later so that I'm not doing anything to mess up anybody else's linens at their house. I always bring extra supplies when I travel. Fortunately for me, I can go for about a week without having to change my appliance, so that when I'm out on a trip, I always take, if I'm gone for a week, I always like to take 2 of everything. 2 bags, 2 of the wafers that I use, and 2 of the Eken rings that I use. One is because I generally will have to change it during that week, but I always bring an extra just in case my appliance should happen to break. If I'm going to be gone longer than 2 weeks, I'll generally take maybe 3 or 4, depending on how long I'll be gone. So either 3 or 4 bags, 3 or 4 wafers, 3 or 4 Eken's rings. I always bring a mirror so that I can look at myself and be able to change my appliance. I have a hernia, a peristomal hernia, so I always bring an extra hernia belt, just in case my appliance breaks and leaks onto it. And I wear a belt with my appliance too, so I always bring an extra belt. I also use tape, high tape, to help secure it onto me, so I always have extra tape of that. I use stoma paste to put around my stoma to help seal it and keep a better seal around the opening. I have some medication in case my skin breaks out. I always take that. You may not have any skin breakouts. If you do and you have a medication for it, just take it with you. I always bring a pair of scissors to cut things. And then I have my little travel bag here that I can put all my supplies in, and I can bring them with me. So that's what I basically will bring whenever I travel. If I'm traveling by plane, I'm not a real big fan to use the lavatory on a plane, so I'll watch what I'm eating before I go, so that hopefully I won't have a lot going through my system and emptying to the bag and having me to empty the bag while I'm on a plane. The fun part about traveling, though, especially when you're flying, as you have probably had the experience before, is going through security. Because they're not quite sure sometimes, I think, about what people are to do with people with ostomies. So whenever I walk into that x-ray machine there at TSA, the first thing I always tell them is, I have an ostomy right here, and it's going to show up on your picture as an area right there, so that they're aware of it. And then I'll even show them by show them my pants, and they can see that there's something right there, so they're aware of it. Most of the times, they're good with that. They might feel me right here just to see that I do have something there. Sometimes they might stick their finger down into my pant and just go around a little bit so they can feel my hernia belt, and they can actually feel the wafer there. But I always tell them, just be careful. I don't want it to break, because that'll make a mess for both of us. So as long as you warn them ahead of time, they'll be very cautious and very careful, and they'll be up front with you. The only time I've ever had an issue is when I didn't say anything to somebody and they were patting me down pretty hard through this area, and then they felt the wafer and they were kind of concerned about it, and then I explained to them what I had. And that time I actually had to go into a separate room and show them the top of my appliance under my pants, so that they were aware that it is an ostomy. You just got to be careful in telling them, because I heard of a story one time of a gentleman that had a urostomy, and he didn't say anything to the TSA agent, and they patted him down so hard that they broke his appliance, and it started leaking right there in the airport. So the best advice that I can give to you is be up front with TSA when you first get there. Let them know that there's going to be something right there that's going to show up, and that it's an ostomy, And if they have no idea what an ostomy is, just tell them it's when I go to the bathroom into a bag, so that they're more careful with you and you don't have a problem. And then again, always bring extra supplies with you based upon how long you'll be gone, just in case something, if your appliance breaks. And like I said, be careful eating before you leave so that you don't have a lot going through your system and into your bag.
Bring it on your carry-on.
And always make sure that you put it in your when I travel, I'll have it in my carry-on, and I tell them when they have it to let them know that this is what they're going to see inside. So, guys, ladies, gentlemen, you travel, have a great and safe time traveling. Just be prepared. Always plan for the worst, just in case something happens. Always let TSA know what's going on. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season, that your travels are safe. I hope you're getting more comfortable with your ostomies. If